do I stand out in my business? There's so much competition in the market. Who is ever going to buy from me? These are some of the questions you get to ask yourself when it has to do with business. But the truth of the matter is there is no such thing as a unique message, but there is only a unique messenger. Welcome to today's episode of the Women Series, where we capture developments and stories that impact women. Today we'll continue our conversation on branding, and today we'll be talking about business branding. Joining me to have this conversation is a corporate brand expert and the executive director of White Dove Publicity Limited. Welcome with me, Kenneth Ebbi. Thank you for joining us on the program
today. Thank you for having
me. It's great to have you.
It's good to be here.
So I think we should just go right into the conversation straight up. You've garnered experience over time when it comes to branding, especially corporate branding, which that is your niche. In your perspective, what exactly is business branding?
Well, the best way to look at it is what branding is, because obviously it's the same principles that you run in branding. It's just that you have to tweak it a little bit when it comes to what the aspect that you are branding. So basically, you can brand a business, you can brand products, you could brand services, you could brand individuals, personal branding, you could brand services. And the list goes on. You could also brand a destination. So the best thing to do,
I find really funny.
Really, there are many destinations that have been branded all over the world. In fact, today's destinations don't do well without branding, because you have to give it a focus, put it on the platter, put it on a direction, and then determine who you want to sell the country to or the destination to, and then go out for those.
I think a good example of that destination brand has to be Dubai.
Oh yeah. Dubai has done a lot of destination branding. It started with the "See, Buy, Fly" slogan. And it's oh yeah, they have done very, very well.
Who knew you could brand business? Who knew you could brand
destination? Oh yeah, yes. I mean anything at all
can be
branded.
But why is there a need to brand?
Okay, first of all, let me give a short definition of what branding is. There are several definitions. One of it is the promises that you make as a business to people, and the ability to keep those promises. Right. Others would say it's a sum total of what the perception of people about a product, a place, whatever it is, the total perception that people have. But I came up with a formula which I use for branding, which I use that formula to explain branding. And it's simply that who you are is equal to who you say you are is equal to who people say that you are.
Can you take that again?
Who you are is equal to who you say that you are.
Okay.
And it's equal to who people say that you are.
Basically living your truth.
Yes, absolutely. So who you are, somehow you have been able to articulate that very well, correctly, and then you are communicating it correctly in everything you do, making sure that every touch point is well covered. Once you've done that, then you are also trying to find out if the people that you have, who are your target audience, are actually getting the message that you are giving. If the message they get is equal to the other two, then definitely you are a brand.
Right. Just like I started the other time, I asked that how do I stand out in my business? I mean, this is like one big question everyone or every business owner wants to ask his or herself when they want to start a business. How do I stand out? I mean, that's like a starting point. What exactly do you have to say about that when it comes to people saying, how do I stand out? Why is there a need to ask such a question?
Well, it's a very good question, because if you do not stand out, then you are lost in the crowd.
Yep.
It's a good question. But the thing is that you always have to start from identifying the gaps in the marketplace. Before you jump into any business. It's in fact, sometimes that's the propelling factor for you to go into the business. When you look at the business and you find out that, oh yeah, there's a gap here. This is not being supplied in the business chain, in the value chain, or this is totally missing and it's something that is needed. It's a good place to start, because if the product you're trying to put out has no need, there's no need for it, or the time hasn't come yet.
So there is also a factor of timing.
Oh, definitely. There's a factor of timing. There's a factor of pricing.
Right.
All of this can create gaps.
Yes.
I remember when I think it was Coca-Cola Company that had moved their products from 100 to 150.
Yeah.
Okay. Coca-Cola moved their product from 100 to 150. I think it was about 2 years ago. It created a gap in the market from pricing.
Yeah.
And I think Biggie
leveraged
on that.
That's true.
And so they saw that, oh yeah, the market is not ready for a shift of price from 100 to 150. So, and they saw that, yeah, if we came in right now, we'll still be able to sell at 100. And there are a lot of people still yearning to have a bottle of a bottle of drink for 100 naira. So that created a gap.
Yes.
And the kind of gap it created is such that you had to come in with a product that, met the needs of what we call the CD part of the market. And that part of the market usually does a lot with pricing. And so they now branded as a wholly Nigerian brand and drink. Okay, so they saw the gap, they saw the opportunity, they took advantage of it, and today they have taken a part of the market and they've become a brand. So you see, you always need to look at where are these opportunities. So that's where you need to start from.
Yes. So there is a factor of looking out for where there is opportunity and then leveraging on that opportunity. Are you capable of leveraging on that opportunity? Can you do that? And then you move forward from there.
Yes, you can you do it? Once you find out that you have the capability to plug that gap, then you go back to the drawing board and begin to look at what this brand should be.
Now, I think that answers the question of how do I stand out. Now, moving on, in the process of branding my business, at what point do I start thinking of logo, websites, packaging, and all of those things that come with, building a brand?
That's a very good question, because you see, why I think it's a good question is that a lot of people, when you ask them what your brand is, they are talking about the color, the logo, the card, the website, the social media, the ID card. But that's what we call brand identity. And then you don't go to the brand identity until you have determined what this brand is all about. What's the value of the brand? Say, for instance, you want to sell milk. What do you want this brand to do, and who are you targeting it at? Are you targeting it at the children, or at the adults, or who is it? Who is it that you're talking about here? And if your target, let's say for instance you're reaching out to the children, so you want to say my brand is such that it helps the children grow and helps them become smart kids. So already you have defined what it should be, the overriding value of that brand.
Like your mission.
Yes, that's what hits you. Then when you've done that, you break it down into drivers, into slogans, into sentences that can help define that value proposition of the brand. Okay, so like you want to look at of what essence that brand is to children. So you say people who take your drink are smart children. They come first in school. They are happy people. They are vibrant and what have you. So you list a whole lot of them. Once you've done that, what that does for you is that you're focusing on what you want to pass along to the people.
Right.
And then from there, you can now determine what's the personality of this brand. Is he a happy person? Is he a vibrant person? Is he a smart person? You know, once you've done that, then you give the brand itself a voice. How does it talk? How does it communicate? Does it talk with a lot of intelligence? Okay, what's the tone? Is it friendly? Is it cocky? Is it proud?
Yeah.
You know, there's some brands that are
I
proud.
feel like, yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. They call them ruler brands. They're proud. Take for instance a polo. I remember there's a shop called Polo Shop in Nigeria, not the Polo brand,
Yeah.
the Polo Shop in Nigeria.
Yeah.
You actually have to be invited to shop in that outlet. If you don't have an invitation, you can't.
Cannot.
So that's cocky.
That's setting up standard.
No, it's not setting up. It's look, we all want customers.
Yes.
Okay, from wherever.
Yeah.
But these guys are saying, look, I don't want everybody.
I think that's premium.
Yes,
That's premium. It
that's
sets you aside from, and everybody know you for who you are.
yes, it is. But you also run the risk of people saying, oh, he's very cocky.
I mean, but the business owner doesn't care. He's still making his money.
So that's the point. So if you have to determine the tone. If, for instance, one of your drivers as Polo is to make people feel good, a feel good position for them, then your tone has to be a little bit cocky because you don't want everybody. Not everybody can afford to feel good according to Polo. So when you're speaking to your audience, you can afford to speak in such a way that invites everybody.
Okay.
So you've got to give it a tone.
That's true.
A voice tone. There has to be a voice tone to it. And what we're really trying to do is make sure that there is a consistency that runs between the value to the drivers, to the tone, and to the personality of the brand.
And then you have like a fantabulous brand eventually.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you see, then once you've done that, because you have already determined that there is a gap somewhere, and you're filling that gap, and you know that there are people who actually need your services in that gap, you already have the market ready for you. You now build the personality of the brand to suit the gap.
And then after all of this have been done, we can now talk about the brand identity.
After you have done that, you can now speak about your brand identity. In fact, when you're talking about your brand identity, you're looking for how to communicate what you have put together to the target audience.
And that's when we have our logo set up.
That's when you have your logo set up. For instance, if you have decided, let's take the Polo company for as an instance again. Now you want to reach the high, the AB of the market. Okay, of course you profile them, you know where they are and all of that. You want to reach them. It now determines, that is what tells you the kind of color that you choose for the business. Because there is a color for luxury. Luxury has a color. So if you didn't determine who that brand is before then,
it will be difficult for you to translate.
You cannot transmit the message.
That's true.
Okay, so that's why it's important for you to determine who that brand is first, so that you can choose the right colors, the right typeface, the fonts, the right positioning, the right messaging. Okay, so without that, you'll be running riot with who you are and who you say you are.
And how about putting a face to this brand that you've already explained? Eventually, some people would love to put a face to the brand. Say, for example, I have a small scale business. That's, for example, have a small scale business. Nobody knows me as much as they know Polo. But then again, I want my voice to be heard. I've worked on all of these things you've talked about. Is it advisable to put my face to the brand? Let everybody know that I am the one in charge. I'm the one doing this. I'm the owner of the brand, so to say.
Okay, so it's depends on what you want.
Okay.
If you want to build your personality alongside the brand, you could go ahead and do that. But it has its advantages and disadvantages. One of the disadvantages is that if you build your face with the brand, when you want to move on, there's a problem with the brand. Okay, because people are already used to seeing you and the brand. Okay,
so the moment you disconnect,
you create a problem. If you want to disconnect, you can, but you now have to plan your disconnection strategy. Everything has to go with a strategy. You couldn't just put your face and the brand, and then tomorrow you want to disconnect and you just take away your face. You create a problem for the brand. I'll give you an example.
Used to that face.
I'll give you an example. Right, you have was it Inspiration FM?
Yeah.
They had when Dan Foster, of blessed memory, he had a program with Inspiration FM, and he was sort of side by side with that FM. I can't remember the name of the program now, but it was a blockbuster.
Yes.
Everybody listened to it. And I think it was a Sunday morning program or something like that. The moment you yank Dan Foster out of that
feels like you're taking away the program.
It feels like you're even taking away the station. Do you understand? It feels like you're taking away the program. It feels like you're taking away the station. It's disadvantageous, not just for the station itself, but for the presenter. Okay, so once he yanks himself out of that point, he struggles a little bit to fit himself into another program. Yeah. I'll give you another example. I used to be an ardent listener to Jimmy Disu on, I think it was, I can't remember the name of the morning program now, on Classic. So once he's yanked off on Classic, I'll tell you what happens. My dial is on Classic in my car always, every morning. Yeah. So he's taking off, I think it's something, paper and review, something that has to do with headline stories and review. And I can't remember exactly the name of the program right now. But once he's yanked off, I lose interest in listening to that program. And then he goes to another station where I don't listen to. Where he is now. Yeah. So I'm not listening to him, and I've lost interest in this morning show on Classic. So it's a very naughty issue when you want to put a face to a brand. It can be very difficult to handle. So I would say, if I were to advise my client, I would say, run your product, give it a personality, and that should be enough for the product. Now, later on, you can introduce your face as the owner of the brand. Concentrate, because again, it's a lot of work to build the brand itself and then build your personality. So you don't want to have too many things to juggle with. Yes. So concentrate at the same time. That's the key word, at the same time. Just take your brand, work on it, and leave out your face. I understand that you are the ambassador for that brand because, I mean, your ambassadors are usually your workers and those who work with you. So you have to also become all of that. So that's where your person as a brand is important.
Fine. I think we've talked about all of these things. We've itemized it one after the other, right from what branding means, what business branding means, how can I stand out in any business I want to put out, and that's, you said that you have to leverage on opportunities that are out there and then stick to that opportunity, run through that. You've talked about at what point we build a logo and designs and all of
Yes.
those things. And now you experienced in this game, I think over 18 years,
Yes.
you must have come across several mistakes people make when it has to do with branding. Can you share some of these experiences and what it should be? Their mistakes and the right thing, what it should be.
The first mistake people make is that they do not spend enough time strategizing on what this brand is all about. That's your first. You see, branding.
When you miss it from the top,
that's it. That's it.
It feels like there's no remedy.
That's it. And some people miss it at that point and keep spending and spending and spending because it's an expensive venture, only to find out that, oh my God, this is not exactly what I wanted. Okay, so it's a bit difficult when you do that. I would never forget when Anita Baker said she was so grateful to God that she positioned herself as a role model in her dressing, her style and everything, her music and all, because she figured out that if she didn't do that, it would have been so difficult for her to do that midway her career. So this is.
So she started on set, just from the beginning.
She started maybe by chance or whatever, but she started correctly. So the truth about it is that a lot of people make the mistake of not starting correctly. Right. So and that's where you probably need someone to advise you, because sometimes as an individual, as an entrepreneur, you don't know all of the principles. So it's very critical you get someone to advise you at that stage, so that once you take it up, you begin to align. The other mistake that people make is that they don't align. They are not able to align who they are and who they are saying that they are.
Your first statement.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. So they can't build that alignment. Yeah. And there are certain things that you must do to be able to build that alignment. And the other problem is consistency. Some people don't stay consistent. It's very tempting. It's very tempting to see that, oh, okay, something is working out there, and I'm still here trying to, and then you say, okay, all right, let's leave this, or let's take a little bit of that and merge it together and come up with something. It really doesn't work that way. So when you get tempted on what is on, and you take that and you juggle, at the end of the day, you lose the essence of the brand.
At the end of the day, I think all I've learned from this is that it's very important to be intentional with whatever it is you want to do. Be deliberate and be consistent. Absolutely. It is very, very important. Absolutely. Thank you very much for coming on the show. I think I've learned a lot. I mean, from the beginning to the end, I've learned a lot, and I'm super grateful that you came by to share from your wealth of experience.
I'm happy you did.
And that will be all for today's episode of the Women Series. If you want to keep the conversation going, log on to www.proshareng.com/webtv, and you can also reach me on ayomide.oguntoye@proshareng.com. Follow us on all our social media platforms showing your screens. Until next episode, I'll see you. Thank you.